Hi, welcome to West Seattle Performing Arts. I'm Christine Juarez, and welcome to Adult Ballet Basics. We are going to travel with you through a series of basic instruction for those of you who would want to jump into a ballet class and maybe have never had it, or those who want to review the basics and just get some more instruction and build their skill level. I have the lovely Lisa here today, and she's going to be demonstrating as I give you some helpful hints. Today's lesson is on alignment. And I'm going to show you three different words that you may see in a classroom. You may see posture, alignment, or standing in neutral. And those are all cues that your instructor could be giving you in order for you to build the best standing position to move in any direction. So the first thing that you want to always realize, for every human and individual, you have at least three different postures that you use during your lifetime. First one is your pedestrian posture. It's how you would be standing as you're talking to your friends. And everyone just give that a try. See what's your regular posture? Do you shift your weight to one foot? Do you stand on the other? Think about do you think a little bit forward, a little bit back? Figure out where your pedestrian posture is. Your second posture is going to be your fatigue posture. That's how you stand when you're tired. And I know for sure, I stand with my legs out, hands on hips. I kind of push forward. Lisa likes to lean, stand on one hip with one leg bent. Some people have hands in front or behind. Some people do one arm across like this. Figure out what your fatigue posture is. It's good to really get to know your body. And if you travel with us through this series of Adult Ballet Basics, you're going to learn a lot about your body and about the connection between your mind and your body and how you have a lot of control over it. The third posture is going to be your dancer posture. And all of a sudden you can see Lisa knows she's in the classroom and she's kicked into her dance posture. She's a trained dancer and she already has her shoulders down, her rib cage closed, pelvis is in alignment, and we're going to go through those so that you can check yourself. And I encourage you to either film yourself, take your camera on your phone or your laptop and try some of these postures and then look at yourself and see how you can adjust. Nothing's ever wrong. We just want to try and achieve the most proficient posture to make movement easy for you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have Lisa stand sideways. I'm going to put my hand behind her head, and she's going to shift her head into the back space. Okay, and I'm going to let go, and you can do that by yourself by putting your hand behind your head and then shifting back. You're going to feel like your chin goes back, and then you want to lift your chin maybe a little inch higher than normal. So ballet posture, your alignment, your chin's going to be a little bit higher than normal. And sometimes teachers will say, look where the ceiling and the wall meet, kind of, across the room where that molding would be. And that's how high you want your eyes. The second place we're going to go is to the rib cage. And I'm going to have Lisa face forward. And we're going to mirror the rib cage by putting our fingers where the ribs would be. And when this technique was developed, the underwear, basically, that women were wearing was corsets. So the rib cage was very closed and tight, and there wasn't a lot of mobility through the rib cage. So whenever you get to your neutral position, you're not going forward, you're not going back or side to side, you want that rib cage very closed. It doesn't mean that you're going to stay like that for every ballet step, but you always need to come back to it. It's like home base, okay? Lisa's gonna turn sideways and show you a couple positions of how the ribs can be positioned. The arms are open to the side. If you squeeze your shoulder blades together, your ribs will pop forward. And some people call that a military chest out. We do not want a military chest out. We want the rib cage to close in, okay? We also, if you kind of sink back into the ribs, and Lisa has a very strong straight spine, but if you kind of hunch your back and drop your shoulders, the rib cage is collapsing forward. We want to pull up to the sides and then again close the rib cage, okay? We're going to drop a little bit lower now, and you're going to play around with your pelvic alignment. Your pelvis is like two kind of big ears, like elephant ears, and your rib cage floats on top of it. Your spine connects all the way down. For ballet alignment, We don't, if you imagine that your pelvis is like a soup bowl on a table, we don't want our soup spilling forward out of our belly button. And you're going to see the tail stick way out and the belly button forward. She's exaggerating this for you. And I really encourage everyone to exaggerate these positions and feel the difference. Now she's going to go to the opposite, which is what we call tucking. And that's a posterior tilt of the pelvis where your soup would run down the back of your legs. Okay? So everyone just try anterior tilt, posterior tilt, anterior tilt, and post. And that's actually a jazz exercise that we do in jazz class. And what you want to find is your neutral position where your spine is straight, your pelvis is straight up and down. So she's going to engage her lower abs and she's going to close her rib cage. I'm going to shift her. You always feel like you're a little bit more forward probably than normal. Okay, that's normal. And she's very nicely aligned now. You want to make sure that when you're standing in this position that you feel as though you're almost pressing against something behind you. Some teachers will say, like, feel the wall behind you, you know, or feel a flat surface behind you. And then you can relax your arms down, Lisa. We're going to have you face forward now. And just note that ballet, classical ballet, the alignment and the posture is really like a Pilates plank, but you're in the vertical position. So if we have Lisa go down onto the floor, she would keep all of those same elements: ears back, rib cage closed, lower transverse abdominis, which is your seatbelt abdominis, pulled in. And you'll hear teachers say cues like pull your belly button to your spine, or zip up your pants, or put your seatbelt on. And that's because this lower transverse ab controls the tilting of the pelvis forward and back. And we can even look at some exercises to strengthen that at another series. In the old days, the teachers used to poke us on the gluteus, maximus, minimus, and medius, and poke you and make sure that this was super tight. That training is antiquated at this point, because what we found out was that we were just making our glutes get bigger and bigger, and it would lock in the rotation of the hips too much. That the contraction of those glutes is not the best strategy for having mobility, inward and outward rotation, which will be on our next series. We're going to talk about how you turn out. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to have Lisa go to a first position. We're going to face the screen, and I'm going to pop the camera down so you can see her nice, easy first position, which is a letter V. And we'll talk about how to find that in our next series as well, how you find your own personal first position. But we're going to have her do a plie, and I want you to follow along with us, and I want you to think about the head back, the rib cage closed, the transverse ab up. She's going to plie one down and stretch up. Beautiful with the arm. And again, and plie down and stretch up. And when we go through our series about plies, you will also talk about the alignment of the knee over the toe. So give it a try. And that is your first step in entering any ballet class. And whether you're a beginner, an intermediate dancer, or an advanced dancer, everybody has to maintain the same kind of alignment when they're taking class. All right. If you're interested in joining us and keeping the series going, please press subscribe at the bottom of the screen to support us, and join us for our next Adult Ballet Basics series. We're going to talk about demi-plie. Thanks for joining us.